going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here with another tier list. This one, you know, it's a play on the last one, but it's a bit different to the last one. This one is going to be the last 20 signings under 5 million.
Seeing as we're not going to have much money to spend this summer, we're thinking, let's see how our last few signings that we got for cheap went. So, signings under 5 million, here's our last 20.
All right, and let's start off in 2009-2010 season when we signed Nico Cranshaw for 2.5 million. But before we start that, I just want to run through the tiers with you, and that is top signing, did a job, below par, and waste of time. So where are we putting Nico Cranshaw?
Nico Cranshaw, I think he was an underrated player. I think he had to play a lot of quality. I think he was signed for 2.5 million, so it was a pretty good bargain. But I wouldn't put him as top signing because he only had really one good season at Spurs, really his first season, and then he kind of fell off a bit.
Yeah, I think he was good at what he did, but I don't think you can put him in that top signing bracket. But he definitely did a job for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, I thought he was a good player on the left hand side. He was always good for a spectacular goal, wasn't he, Nico Cranshaw? He had a love affair with Harry Redknapp.
Yeah,
but I think
many other players.
Yeah, but I think did a job.
All right, Nico Cranshaw goes into did a job. Now we're going to go 2009-2010. Kyle Norton for 4.5 million.
Bit of a waste of time, I think. I didn't rate Kyle Norton that highly at all. Do
you think he's just below par or waste of time?
I didn't rate him. What was he good at? Somehow we had him we spent 100 million on signings and he was taking our corners somehow. I couldn't believe that when in the season under AVB once we sold Bale. But I think Kyle Norton, he wasn't especially good tackler, wasn't especially good going forward. I think it was a waste of time.
All right. Kyle Norton, unfortunately, you go in waste of time. Let's move on to... we signed these guys together, Kyle Walker and Kyle Norton, both for 4.5 million, or it was 9 million combined. Where are we putting Kyle Walker? That goes straight into top signing.
Top signing. One of the best right-backs in the Premier League at the time. I think he took a couple of years to grow into his Tottenham career, but once he hit his stride, there was no going back.
When people look at the early stages of Kyle Walker, is there kind of similarities to Aurier now?
I think... there are similarities. Walker also had a lot of brainless moments, but I think Walker was a lot younger than Aurier when he got to grips with things.
That's true.
And I think also, as much as Walker was brainless, he wasn't reckless like I think Aurier is.
He was at times, but not as reckless as Aurier.
He did have a few stupid moments. I remember once against Liverpool, we were at Anfield when Vertonghen scored the double. He played Stuart Downing through on goal and we lost the game 3-2.
I remember loads of times he would just have the ball on that right-hand side, like in the middle of the park.
Unprovoked,
and just play like a square pass straight back to their team. You know what I mean? It happened many times.
He didn't. I don't think he gave as many penalties away as Aurier does. And
he did give us a fair few, though, I think.
But I think... yeah, I think Walker is definitely a top signing, and once he improved going forward, that was always his thing. Let him down when he was always inconsistent in the final third. Once he improved that, he became the best right back in the league.
And as well, his pace got him out of a lot of trouble, didn't it, Kyle Walker?
That's definitely true. But there's a reason City paid 50 million for him.
All right, he goes into top signing. Let's move on to 2010-2011. Steven Pienaar, we signed in January for 3 million.
Pienaar, I think he was a good player, just not for Spurs. He was a bit of a waste of time for us. I think he lasted, a year? 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, when we signed him, we were quite excited because he was a good player for Everton.
He was, and he played in the Champions League, quarter against AC Milan, last 16, and he just wasn't good for us, let's be honest. He just didn't ever get to grips with the Tottenham squad.
He had a couple of good games. A couple of times where you think, all right, we've got a player on our hands here. I mean, I don't think he was a complete waste of time. I think
for Spurs he was, unfortunately.
So?
I think for Tottenham, look, as a player he's a good player, but for Tottenham he was unfortunately a waste of time.
He had a great song though.
He did have a great song. Piano.
All right, we're putting him as a waste of time.
I think for Tottenham, I don't see how you can argue that he wasn't. Because he only lasted a year and he barely played that much, and he just was.
I thought he had a couple of good games. All right, fine. We'll put him a waste of time. I mean, he played that AC Milan game.
Yeah, no, but for as good he was when he joined, you expect a lot more than what he gave us.
Yeah,
he was a pretty good player for Everton, and he continued to be a good player for Everton once he left. But for Spurs, he just didn't ever get to grips with how we played.
I would say below par, but all right, we'll put him a waste of time. This next signing is definitely a waste of time. It was 2010-2011 Bongani Khumalo.
What a player.
For 1.5 million.
What a player. He's a cult hero, Bengali Khumalo, for the best centre-back that ever played for us. Look, yeah, complete waste. Did he make one appearance for Tottenham? So. We'll never know. We'll never know how good he could have been. But never got a chance.
2011-2012, another January signing, and Ryan Nelson on a freebie.
Ryan Nelson, I think he goes into the below par section because I think he was only here for 6 months. He had a few good games. Scored against Bolton in the FA Cup. And I think I don't think he was a complete waste of time, but he was pretty much below. He was past his best.
From what we were expecting, though, because we were expecting absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
from
true.
From what we were expecting, he probably did a job.
Yeah, we got him instead of Gary Cahill, which proved out not to be great. But there you go. I think below par. He did all right through a couple games. Below par.
Below par. This next one's going to be an interesting one. 11-12, Brad Friedel on a freebie.
Yeah, Brad Friedel.
For me, top signing.
I think top signing. I agree with you. I think as a free transfer, I think for his first, he was there for a couple years, more than a couple. I actually stayed for like 3 years in the end.
Yeah.
And I think whenever he played, he did a really good job. His first season, he was excellent. I thought for the whole season.
And also when
really
Hugo
consistent.
Lloris came, he couldn't get into the side when he first came.
Yeah, those first couple months of that season when Lloris couldn't get in the team, Friedel was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And it was only a matter of time until Lloris got in the team, but he was playing out of his skin. At Old Trafford, he was absolutely brilliant when we won 3-2. Yeah. You know, Lloris couldn't play that game, and I thought he was a model of consistency, and he was it was just the other end of the scale to when Gomez. He took over from Gomez. Gomez was just from the ridiculous.
Just a good safe pair of hands.
Yeah, good stability, and for a free signings, as free signings go, you don't get much better than Brad Friedel. So I think he was a top signing
for us.
He did as a 40-year-old, nearly 40 as well, to playing at that level.
Until he was 40 for us.
I think we signed him at 40. So to play at that level, it's excellent stuff from him.
All right, Louis Saha, 11-12 again on a freebie.
Again, he was only there for 6 months. I think
he definitely did a job for us.
Yeah, I did a job or below par.
No, did a job. I think. I wasn't expecting much from Saha when he signed. He came here, he scored quite a few goals. Scored in that game against Newcastle. Scored at the Emirates.
A brace on his debut.
So I think
and
Saha
he
did
scored.
all right.
And he scored in the FA Cup against Bolton as well when we won 3-1.
I think Saha did all right when he was called upon.
Yeah, I think he always looked a decent threat. It's just a shame we didn't get Tevez instead, because we could have got Carlos Tevez. Another one. Thank you, Daniel Levy, for that. But we could have got Tevez. We ended up getting Saha on a free because obviously there's less risk than that. I agree. I think he did a job. He was only there for 6 months, and I think he did all right for that 6 months.
Definitely did a job. Definitely. This next one, Player of the Year, 11-12, Scotty Parker, 5 million. He flirted between top signing and did a job because second season he wasn't great when he came in. How many was he at us for?
Only 2 seasons. He was only there for 2 seasons. Got Player of the Year in his first, and he kind of fell off a bit in his second, and then we sold him to Fulham. I think obviously based on his first season, 5 million signing. I think we'll put him in top signing because he did get Player of the Year.
First year top signing, second year
did a job. So I think we'll put him in top signing because he did get Player of the Year.
All right, look, we'll put him. Yeah.
So, and I think he was fantastic. And I remember in that first year, he was playing for England as well. He was he went to the Euros and he was fantastic in the Euros under Roy Hodgson.
Didn't he get PFA Player of the Year for West Ham the year before?
The year before he did. Even though West Ham got relegated, he was PFA Player of the Year. And I think his first year for Tottenham, he was an absolute marvel. I remember those
pirouettes. That's where Winksy got it from.
Yeah, performances against Arsenal as well. I remember he was absolutely fantastic. He was battling for the shirt and he was absolutely great. And it was a shame he fell off in the second year. I think age was catching up with him. But for that first year, I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
All right, and good luck to him tomorrow night in the playoff final.
Yeah, for sure.
For Fuller, he's Fulham manager, obviously. Let's move on. 12-13, Lewis Holtby for 1.5 million.
He flirts between below par and waste of time, unfortunately.
I'll put him in below par. I think he was a bit above waste of time. I think he had a bit about him. He always gave 100% for the shirt. You could see he was on it on the pitch. I just think he lacked a bit in quality. But there were some moments of quality there. I remember that goal against Fulham. What was it, 30-yard pinger? Was it last-minute goal as well?
A winner, 2-1. We won 2-1.
So I think, there was a few times he did show a bit of quality. That's why I won't put him at a complete waste of time. I definitely saw some positives there from Lewis Holtby, but all in all, it was a bit of below par.
Yeah, we expected a lot from him. That's the thing. He came with quite a decent reputation as a young up and coming player from Germany.
Yeah.
Had caps for Germany, I believe, when he came, and we spent a bit of money to get him in early because he was going to run. His contract was running out, and everyone thought he was going to be a top signing. Didn't turn quite like that. He only stayed for 18 months, and then Pochettino shipped him out. Everyone thought actually Pochettino was really going to suit him, his style of play, because he was a kind of like quick acting in transition, and exactly. But I think at the end you're right. He just lacked a bit of end product and quality because for his position behind the striker it didn't quite work out.
And it just shows what happened to him after he left Spurs as well. I think he's playing at Blackburn now
in the Championship, and he's not exactly pulling up any trees, is he? So,
all right, he goes into below par. Let's talk about Zeki Friars, 12-13 for $3 million. I'm just going to go straight in and say it, a complete waste of time.
He was rubbish every time he played.
What was the deal that we got Zeki Friars in?
Well, I think he was leaving Man United, and what happened was he signed for Standard Liège. Yeah, they didn't want to sell him, so Standard Liège signed him, and then we signed him off Standard Liège in some sort of backroom deal. I don't know what exactly went on there, because they because back in those days, if you were free transfer under a certain age, you still had to pay the money to the club. I think that's still the case, actually. You had to pay money in some sort of contract to Man United, and they wouldn't allow it. So Liège took him, and then we signed him from Liège. So and then Alex Ferguson was really not happy with that transfer, but he had the last laugh because it was absolutely awful. He was terrible.
I think that's where the quotes come from, where he's talking about Daniel Levy. He's a funny man or something.
I thought it was a Berbatov deal, maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, Zeki Friars,
waste of time.
Waste of time.
12-13, the same season, we signed Adebayo for $5 million. Emmanuel Adebayo. To be honest, you can't. It might be a bit controversial to you guys out there, but you can't put him anywhere but top signing. The amount of goals he scored.
Well, from when he signed permanently, he probably goes into below par. But if you take in that season before into account when he was on loan for that season, then he goes into top signing.
You know, Tim Sherwood brought him back in the side.
That's true. He was good that season. I think
was very good.
He was at Tottenham for 4 seasons. He was great for 2 and awful for 2. So I think for $5 million. And for City probably paying 80% of his wages or something like that when he was at us, he probably goes into top signing. I think overall his time at Spurs was positive, you would say, but I think it was one of those things where we had to cut him loose when we did.
It turned a bit sour at the end, but
he was never going to work under Pochettino. It was never going to happen.
Even though he was given vice captain when
somehow I don't know how that happened. We gave Adebayo vice captain, but he was his first season he got 17 goals and 11 assists. He was absolutely fantastic in his first season. Second season under AVB, he started freezing him out. He was pretty terrible. He couldn't get a game. I remember he had a little run at the end of the season when he scored at Stamford Bridge, that absolute banger. That absolute banger at Stamford Bridge.
Massive game that was at the
time.
That
was. We had to win that, and he turned up that game, but AVB didn't fancy him. He got frozen out second half of the second season. Soldado came in, and then, but you know what? He came back second half of the season when Sherwood came in, completely outscored Soldado, and he was fantastic. I think it was our top scorer again, 14 goals.
I thought Adebayo's time at Spurs was very good.
But then then Pochettino's first season, pretty brass. He scored a couple goals. I remember he started the season pretty well. Scored a couple goals against QPR. I think okay, could work, but it never really worked.
Was it 5-0 QPR?
Yeah, I think 4-0 at the beginning of the season, and then Harry Kane broke in the team, and there was no looking back for Adebayo. So I think top signing just about.
Just for the amount of goals he scored.
Yeah,
but he could get marked down for him and Sherwood's celebration. That
Probably.
Was awful.
But I think just about top signing, yeah.
All right.
For $5 million.
Yeah. Let's move on to 14-15 season. Michel Vaughan for $3.5 million.
Did a job all below par?
I think below par.
I think
just because the majority of times he stepped in, he did make a mistake.
He did. A lot of the times he was, this FA Cup semi-final, the Champions League against PSV. I remember there was an FA Cup game in his first season against Leicester, made a howler in the last minute for us to lose that game. So I think a few of those times he did let us down. He did. I remember put a few good performances in. I remember he got man of the match at home to Liverpool.
Yeah, but you can count those on 3 fingers. Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I'm going to below par, unfortunately, for me. I think he leaves the club as a decent servant, as a substitute to Lloris, but I think, kind of below par. It was below par.
Benjamin Stambouli, 14-15, 4.7 million.
We got him instead of Morgan Schneiderlin. Another one of those.
It's waste of time.
Yeah, waste of time. Somehow found his way at PSG after us. I don't know how that happened, but he didn't last long there.
Waste of time.
Didn't last long there. Yeah, he was a waste of time. Got a goal against, who was it in the Europa League? Slavia Prague or something? Something like that. He got a goal in the Europa League, but it was a complete waste of time.
Apart from his name, he could get marked up for his first name.
Benjamin Stambouli.
Apart from that, full waste of time.
Waste of time, Stambo.
Deandre Yedlin signed the same season in January, 2.5 million.
Get him out.
Waste of time.
Waste of time for Spurs. He lasted 6 months. We sold him to, I think, Newcastle.
Yeah, he's at Newcastle now. We spoke to Lee, Newcastle Fans TV, and they hate him up there.
They hate him there. He was on loan at Sunderland as well. He was all right, I remember, at Sunderland. He was on loan for the season.
He's got a bit of pace about him. We were quite excited when we signed him.
Yeah, American. Could we break the US market like Chelsea have a Pulisic, but hasn't
we
really.
had Dempsey at the time as well, I think.
I don't think we had Dempsey, but he'd already gone by then. But I think Yedlin, rubbish. Waste of time.
Same season, we signed Eric Dyer for 4 million. Obviously, that goes straight into top signing.
I think 4 million. Since he signed for Tottenham, the amount of strides he's taken, played for England. We've played
scored a winning penalty in the shootout at the World Cup.
Exactly, went down in folklore for that. He scored in the Euros against Russia, that free kick.
Shushli Emirates.
Yeah, he's done so much. His career, he's grown so much recently.
Battle of the Bridge.
Exactly, so many moments. He was grown into one of our best defensive midfielders at the time. He's grown with the club and as he has with the player. And for 4 million, I think we've got a lot of quality out of him. So I think definitely goes into top signing.
Yeah, and now he's entering like a new chapter in his Spurs career as well at centre back. So.
Just signed a new contract. Somehow I remember the days we turned down 50 million from Man United for him. So the fact we signed for 4 million and we could have got 50, I think is a top signing.
Let's move on. After Eric Dyer goes into top signing, we move on to his bromance partner, Dele Alli, signed in January of 14-15 for 5 million. He only cost 5 mil. He's better than Ozil.
And Ozil cost them 350 grand a week and 50 million, so that shows you where he goes.
Doesn't even get in the squad for the cup final. He's in Turkey.
He's too busy playing Fortnite.
He looks top signing. Top
signing for sure. Look, the quality he's brought. I mean, obviously he's been a tough last couple of years for him, but I think just for those first 3 years alone, 100% top signing. He could leave in January for 30 million. This summer for 30 million, he'll still be a top signing for that price. So I think those first 2 seasons, 18 Premier League goals he got in one season, was one of the top youngsters in Europe. I still think he has a lot of quality about him. And I think last season, under that spurt under Jose shows he's still got it. He just needs to show it more consistently. And I'm really hoping he gets back to his best.
He's got not very much hamstring for someone of his age, you know what I mean?
Which is a shame.
His hamstrings still keep going at 24.
And the most worrying thing about Dele is his quote. I think it was a few months ago saying, "Oh, I can't play as I used to," or something like that.
I think that was a bit of a misquote though. I think it was part of a bigger conversation, and that was a small snippet that was a bit out of context.
Okay, I have to reread that quote then. So I'm hoping you're right. But I think, look, Dele, he's still young enough, 24, to be able to get back to his best. I'm still confident we can see the best out of Dele. It's been a tough couple of years, but 100% is a top signing, and for that price.
All right, 15-16 Kieran Trippier, 3.5 million.
I think top signing.
You think top signing or did a job?
I think top siging because we sold him for 20 million. I think for 3 million, I think he was
top bit of business. But is it a top signing?
I think for his first 3 years before his last year, he was pretty good.
Yeah, you're right.
He was pretty good. There was a reason he was starting for England at the World Cup on the back of that season where he was starting right back for a whole year for us, and especially in his first 2 years. Even though he was understudy for Walker, he was excellent whenever he came in. Whenever he came in, he did he wasn't just a top side. He wasn't just did a job. He did more than did a job whenever he came in. And I think that was always his best position, on being understudy to a top right back like Walker, because he always came in against people like Norwich or against people like Watford, and he just destroyed those teams.
He was a Watford destroyer.
Absolute destroyer. His crossing was second to none. And although it went wrong for him a bit in his last season, I think for his first 3 years, he was a top right back.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Let's move on to second last, Kevin Wimmer, 4.3 million.
Unfortunately, he goes into below par at the end of the day. I think he's had a great first year.
He came in for the injured Vertonghen, and we didn't even miss Vertonghen. That's how good he was when he came in. I thought he was sensational, but after that, there was, you know what I mean? He was poor every time he came in. Yeah. The only thing you can say, he had a bit of a bromance with Heung-min Son. That was about it.
That's why it's not a waste of time. And I think, it's a shame because it was a real shame actually for Wimmer, because after that first season, he was a young centre back. He thought has a lot of potential to grow, and he had a future at this club, but. Second season just didn't go right for him. Whenever he came in, he just didn't have a good game, and I thought it was a bit unfortunate because he seemed to only come in like Chelsea away or City away. He had some really tough games, and he was shunted out at left back. I remember a couple of times, but it didn't go right for him. We sold him for 18 million at the end of the day, which is a pretty good deal. I think we got him for, and it shows where he's gone since his career hasn't gone right.
He went on to Stoke, or he went on to somewhere in Germany, then Stoke, or one of the two.
No, I think he went straight to Stoke for 18 million.
He went to Stoke for 18 million, which is a great price after signing him for 4.3 million, but he didn't do much there, did he?
Yeah, but it's just a shame because he had a really good first season. Just a shame he didn't build on it.
All right, and last but not least, at the 17-18 season, we signed that beautiful man that is Paolo Gazzaniga for just under 1,900,000.
Good signing. I think he did a job. I think he's done a job. I think he's just below par, because I think although when he's coming for Hugo, when he came in for that big stretch of games, he kind of got found out a bit. But I don't think he was that bad where you say he was below par. I think he was decent.
Is there an argument to say that him coming in for 900 grand and as a backup keeper, as a sub keeper, having Lloris at the club already, is there an argument to say he's a top signing as a backup?
No, I think he did. I think he did a job. I think he's done well as a backup. I don't think he's done exceptionally well. He's done well, I think. But I think the more game time he had, the more you saw that he's nowhere. Like people calling for him to be ousting Hugo at one point, and people were saying, "Oh, this guy is going to be our new number one." But I think the more time he had, the more you saw he's not really as good as people thought he was. I think he whenever he's come in for like 1 or 2 games, he's been excellent. But when he's had a long stretch, he's not been that great. Yeah. But I think he's done a good job. I mean, he saved that penalty against Watford as well. That was a good moment for him. But he had moments like the Chelsea when he gave away that penalty. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen on a football pitch.
Well, he should have got sent off.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That Kung Fu kick on Alonso. I know Alonso was, he
probably deserved it.
Yeah, but to do that was one of the strangest things I've ever seen on a football pitch.
And he got away with it as well.
And he got away with. Well, he gave away a penalty, but and he made a mistake. Man United away from home should have saved Rashford.
He made quite a few mistakes. Let's be honest. I mean, his distribution is second to none, though.
Yeah, good distribution.
His distribution in that Arsenal Cup game was insane.
That's true. 2 kind of assists there. I think. So I think he was better than Vaughan for sure, but I don't think he's as good to be a top signing.
I'll be happy to put him in. Did a job. I love Gazzaniga.
I think he's done a job. Yeah.
All right, so there you have it.
No signings under $1 million since Gazzaniga in 2017. So it's been a while.
I mean.
Get your bargains back out.
There's not many signings in general since then. That's true. Well, anyway, there you have it. That is our tier list of the last 20 players we have signed for under 5 million. Let me know what your thoughts are of the tier list and where you think the players should go. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.